Many of you guys are aware, New World is preparing for its October patch by rolling out the PTR, and I think with the big shiny content like the new zone, the weapons, as well as a ton of other stuff that's coming, and I think the new questing revamp is very slept on. Now the PTR isn't just for finding bugs, it's for suggestions and improvements as well, so I do hope that if you're interested or if you have any ideas that you want to see in the rest of the leveling experience, meaning the level 25 to 60 questing, I encourage you to hop on the PTR because they've made it very clear that they're going to use the feedback that they receive from this PTR to apply to the rest of the leveling experience. So I've gone ahead and played the new experience. I made a list of things that really caught my eye, but I also made a list of things that they need improving as well as things that they could double down on to make the experience a lot better. More on that later though. And I hope to do this without spoiling any of the stories for anyone that's interested, but I will say with the nature of this video, it's inevitable for me to talk a little bit about the lore, but just keep that in mind. When making a new character, you start off on the shore. Nothing really new to see here, except you'd probably notice the shipwrecks look a little different. We'll talk about the visual changes on the map later, but in front of us we have our first NPC encounter.
Steady there, friend. Dying can be a rather harrowing experience the first time one...
The fact that every single line is voice acted is a huge positive. No one wants to read lore, or they would pick up a book, or they would read fanfiction. I don't do that, I'm just saying. The voice acting is top notch, which is expected from New World. They don't really miss on the audio and the visual department. Their dialogue is also a huge improvement from before. You feel like you're actually talking to someone with a soul. They have more depth and personality, which makes riding through the dialogue without skipping a lot more bearable. And we finally get to see our little friend walk for the first time. I'm so proud of him. I know it's not something revolutionary in the game industry, but there's something really strange about seeing a friendly NPC walk in New World. Now instead of NPCs saying, "I'll meet you in Everfall," and then standing there like, they actually turn around and walk towards the settlement. And I really do hope that they improve on this as time goes on. Another massive issue that New World has is mob variety. They always shove one mob type down your throat until you get to the next one. I saw some great improvements in this as I played through the game as well. The mobs that are in these locations always feel like they belong in that area and they fit the story very well. For example, instead of seeing lost enemies in the shipwreck, your crewmates are now corrupted because of the mysterious forces that are taking over the island. And later in the story, you help a commander put down his fallen soldiers that are now undead from a battle that happened shortly before you even got there. And I could go on. And now this guy has a pike in his hand. I just wanted to put that out there. They seem to have added a few cutscenes, which are great. I've said it before, but I think the end of every single dungeon should have a cutscene. And there should be a few cutscenes spaced out during the leveling experience as well. This would help deepen the lore and give some reason for people to continue to get these new goals in the story. Throughout your questing experience, you also run into a few mini boss fights. Before, they were just the same enemies with larger health and you just clicked on them until they died. They've gone ahead and improved this, and they've also added mini mechanics to these bosses. These aren't earth-shattering changes, but they make the boss fight feel more challenging and meaningful to fight, which is a pretty good improvement from what it was before. I especially like the relevant bosses, and what I mean by that is the named bosses that are actually connected to the lore. Throughout this story, you hear about this powerful witch who holds a city hostage, and at some point you may or may not have the opportunity to fight her. I really thought the build-up was interesting, so more lore related bosses are always welcome. While you're questing, you'll also run into a few quests that require puzzle solving and parkour. These weren't anything crazy, but they were a breath of fresh air for the run and fetch kind of quests, which made them a lot less repetitive, as well as made you want to go to the next location to see what's next. It is really unfortunate that these are really simple though, especially the puzzles. I'm not really asking for a 200 IQ puzzle quest at level 15, but they can be more engaging than writing the entire symbol sequence on the wall right under the puzzle.
What the hell? Brother, no.
As you run around to get your quest done, you'll also find new locations in these zones. The best part about these areas is that they're not copy and paste like they were before, and a lot of them fill out empty spaces that can now be explored. One that I really liked was this new ancient tomb that's right in front of the Everfall settlement. After fighting your way to the top, you get to do a little bit of a wave survival mission before opening the door to the boss fight, which made me realize that having a wave survival quest in the story missions would be pretty damn epic. And lastly, it's only fair that I mention the new faction bases, as they are part of the starting experience as well. Visually, the bases look amazing, and the quests that they give out to increase your faction experience was pretty meaningful and well put together in my opinion. However, I have a few issues with them. First of all, you wouldn't even know these bases existed if you just look at the map. They literally look like every other landmark, so they should stand out on the map. The bases also feel like a wasted potential because although they look cool, aside from accessing the faction shop, there really isn't a reason to go in these places, and I really hope that they add some impactful content in these bases in the future. These are the improvements that I really enjoyed in the new experience. But it's not all about the praises, there are things that they should add and improve in the future. Like I mentioned, puzzles and parkour should be more difficult. Not anything crazy, but a little bit of effort solving these puzzles has never killed anyone. I also think having more variety with the quest types is key. Symbol puzzles are cool, but there's only so much you could do before it gets old. Things like the survival quests, escort missions, time puzzles, and so much more that could be added, and I really hope they get creative with it. And I didn't really mention this, but while you're questing, there are certain checkpoints where Isabella speaks to you in your mind, which make a lot of sense when you actually quest and learn the story. And I also thought that her popping out every now and then to talk was really interesting, and it might give some opportunity to be creative as your character progresses. I'm really impressed with the fact that they actually took the time to revamp these quests instead of just leaving it in the terrible state that it is. And like I said, I really do encourage you guys to head into the PTR and try these out for yourself. If you have any feedback or any suggestions, you could bet that they'll definitely look into it. And personally, I'm excited to see the rest of the leveling experience be revamped as well. But yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and let me know in the comments down below what you think of the questing system if you've actually done it. And you could also talk about the suggestions and improvements that you think would make this experience a lot better. But other than that, I hope to see you guys next time. Peace out.